Greetings from home, everyone. It is such a joy to be with you, to see you in a new way. For all of you have stepped into a new energy. Every single person on planet Earth has moved to the new level. We are so proud to watch you because we are all part of you. You think of us as separate. You think of us as higher, as different, as better in many ways. But dear ones, when you come home, you will realize who you are. You will remember the nature of why you came to Earth in the first place. But understand that you are wearing this veil that you yourself devised. You chose it. You wanted to play this game of hide and seek, God hiding from himself, searching for herself. And you've been very successful at it. So please understand, there is no wrong here. You have set things into motion in the most beautiful ways, and now you will start to reap these benefits. I wish to bring this to your attention today because there are so many new pieces that are now available to humans. We tell you many of these were hidden in your past. Many of these showed up in your science fiction. Many of these showed up in movies of creative writers, people that thought that they were making something up, when in fact they were channeling the future. They were channeling energy that we were sending to many of them. That is the nature of what the Keeper calls channeling. He focuses it in such a way that he channels the group. He can bring us as a collective vibration from home. And it's very magical. But each of you have a similar ability. You may not all express it in the same way. You may not all be able to tap into it or to be confident in it, as the Keeper has learned to finally be. And we say finally because it took some time for us to work with him. You should have seen the first channel. Oh, that was fun for us. He started channeling in the very beginning. Oh, he's freaking out now because we're going to tell stories about him, but that's too bad. Well, he'll get over it. But in the beginning, he used to channel on a keyboard. It was very simple, very easy for him, because he could read it over and find out if everything was there before he hit the enter key. And it was too late. At that point, you could not take anything back. So he was very hesitant, and it took a while for us to really gain that confidence with him. Not because he didn't trust us, he did not trust himself. And that's a key element. So we fixed it. We had a young lady who asked him to come to a certain part of the world, and he did. And he showed up, and they did this seminar together. And then she says, okay, you're going to channel now? And he said, no, I wasn't planning on it. She said, but I told everybody you were going to channel. I think you should try to channel. And he said, okay, where's my keyboard? And he sat down and he started to bring through the very first message of a live process like he is doing now. And we have to tell you, dear ones, it took everything we could do on this side of the veil to get through that dense energy. What was the dense energy? It was very simple. He did not trust himself. We do not think it was bad. We do not think he was wrong in doing so. He simply was there. And that's probably the most important part about the new energy. There is no right or wrong. Not in the way that you have so carefully used it before. Now, there is no black and white. There never was. It's all shades of gray. All blends. And that's where the magic is, especially in this new energy. So, he started to bring this through, and he opened his mouth, and he knew the first words because we've given them to him many times. He said, greetings from home, in the way that we love to say it. And with that, a resonance went out in the room. And from that point forward, most people only heard every other word because the tears started. And we tell you that first channel was very difficult. For him, because of the fact that he was so overwhelmed. His circuitry was literally being stretched to carry the new energy, to carry the energy of the heart. Now, all of you have learned that in some way. You're already doing it. But what is coming is that you will find new ways of distributing your channel. That's the beautiful part. And that's what we wish to share with you here today, since we are not on a time restriction. Isn't that wonderful? So let us share a little bit of what that is like. Ilra, the timekeeper, M, Merlia, many of the others that we have not even spoken of yet. We're here on this side of the veil, but we're very attached to you. We are part of you, the same way that you are a part of each other, but cannot see that, since you are so determined to complete this game of pretending to be separate. So now what is happening is you have entered the third wave of empowerment. The first wave being follow the leader. You learned that if you followed a leader, you could get more done. You could be in a collective. And then you had to learn how to follow yourself, which was the second wave of empowerment. And you did. You learned how to put your boundaries up so you could find out what was your energy and not always be influenced overly by everyone else's. You had to learn certain attributes of trust. You had to learn to speak your truth even in the face of adversity. But you did. And you stretched it. And all of humanity has now moved to a new level. That is magical. And that is the beginning of the third wave. The third wave of empowerment, dear ones, is harmony. Sounds really simple. Sounds easy. Nothing could be further from the truth. We tell you, you have now learned to live on planet Earth, to find your essence so that you would know where your path was and you could create a reality. Well, now, dear ones, it's all about blending. And most humans are not accustomed to that. Most humans do not quite know what to do with that. Deep inside, you all know that you are a part of each other. Deep inside, it's like the fingers on your hand. They appear to be separate, but they are all part of the same energy, the same connection, with the same intent and the same spiritual purpose. Each of you have come to Earth with a very sacred ray of light, unlike any others, that you have agreed to carry for the specific reason of bringing it to Earth. Why is it necessary? If you are playing a game, can't you just go down and play the game? Well, that's what happened for eons of time, dear ones, but you've changed the game in a new way. And we tell you, you have been here on Earth much longer than your sciences will tell you. Most of your sciences believed that 65 million years ago there was an asteroid that hit the Earth, put a lot of dust into the air, and wiped out 70% of all life forms on planet Earth, including your dinosaurs. But we tell you that was the conclusion of one phase of life. You have been here many times before. Your own ideas of Atlantis, Lemuria, come from real memories that go further back than you can imagine. And there was a time when you were very far advanced spiritually. You had two different continents of Atlantis and Lemuria. Lemuria, Mu, we call it. And in truth, your spiritual level of advancement in the days of Mu, Lemuria, was huge. You opened the door. You had the capability of crossing over to the other side while you were still in body. That was a level that you have not even attained completely today. You have surpassed the days of Atlantis, however, and that is magical. Because even your technologies, you think of technologies as separate from you. They are not. They are only a reflection of your own vibration. All of it. And in truth, technologies have been dropped by your own parental races. Those races throughout the universe that have helped to start this wave of life on planet Earth. And there were 6 parental races throughout the universe that came here and congealed on planet Earth. that began this next wave in the physical bodies that you are in. You've had other physical bodies before. We will not describe that to you. It'd be very difficult to make sense of that. But if you go back even further to the time when Earth first began, because Earth is in a timeline. She is basically part of the finite process. And although your physical bodies that you carry are also finite, you are infinite in nature. You are perfect, and you have no beginning and an end. Like all energy, it never dies. It only transforms from one form to the next. And that is magical. So here you are in the third wave of empowerment, trying to figure out why things don't work the same way they did in the first and the second waves. But let us go back a little further. In the very beginning of Earth, when she was a hot gaseous ball, molten magma floating in space, not even perfectly round, trying to find that spin that would bring her together perfectly. And we tell you it happened. But it needed intercedence. It needed nurturing. That's when you showed up. This was the first time that you were on Earth. Because of the truth is, you helped in her creation. We have called you God before, and we know that you have a resistance to that. We know that you do not like hearing that you are God. But in reality, because it seems to undermine many of your other belief systems, we tell you that could not be farther from the truth. God is never separate from you. That's the beautiful part. And if you understand that you are all part of each other, you are part of us. You are part of everything that exists. And when you leave the physical body, your spirit returns home, which becomes a part of everything again. It blends back together. Now, on Earth, you have gone through the first wave of empowerment, second wave, and now you are working with harmony. But when you first came to Earth, when she was a floating ball of hot magma, you were also very much in harmony with each other because you did not have physical bodies. You had bodies that you today call light body. You literally had bodies of light. There was very little density. You had to have some density in order to visit Earth. She was finite, and although you are infinite in nature, in order to be in the same realm, it was important that you took on a little imperfection. Isn't that beautiful? But when you understand what has truly happened, when you come home, you will be like us, absolutely amazed that planet Earth and all the humanity has reached this level of vibration. It's more than exciting, dear ones. It is an opportunity waiting to be grounded in more ways than you'll ever know. Now, let us give you some of the new tools. Let us share with you some of the possibilities that have only been introduced so far in many of your science fiction works. One of the key elements, dear ones, is that you have never lost the attributes that you held when you had light body. When you have that lack of density and you can just be, that is what you are trying to return to. Even though you carry bodies of density, it is not possible for you completely to just stop and be. Your physical body will literally check out while you are waiting for the next breath. So you do this balancing act, and you try to find as much grounding of the energy as you can. And you're doing better than you can imagine. But you've also had help. We know what you think. You think of the outer space beings. Oh, the little men with the diamond eyes that look like your rodents and different things of that nature. And that is only a part of it, dear ones. When you finally understand how you are a part of all of that, you'll lose the fear. You'll connect in a new way. and you will start being able to return to the attributes you held in light body, even though you hold a physical, dense body. Can you imagine what it is like to hold a thought in your head and have it manifest right in front of you that quickly? Can you imagine what it is like to think of a person and have them show up in front of you in that instant? Can you imagine what it is like to travel forward in time, to plant seeds for yourself so that you can walk into them on the timeline? All of these are common attributes in light body, and much, much more. Where you'll start to understand dimensionality and what that truly means to you, and how you can tap into the other dimensions of time and space, which are you. And that is the next level that we wish to share with you here today. The multidimensional reunion of you. That is a beautiful area. All of you have this capability now in front of you. And as you step forward, you'll see the dust clearing. You'll see the smoke and the energy start to clear, and you'll be able to ground in a new way. Many of you have been in survival. Many of you thought it had to do with the economies of the world, because you saw about 7 years ago the economies take a crash from which you've never completely recovered. Well, the reason you've never completely recovered, dear ones, is for the simple fact that you have moved out of that density. And yes, you've brought all your systems with you into the new density, so now you must work them to try and adjust them and bring them into this level. Not easy, because what you had was a lower vibration system that you are now trying to work in the higher vibrations of the new planet Earth. Well, this is why many of you have had resets of energy. Some of that showed up in your world as a lack of money or a lack of any form of abundance. In reality, you have access to it all. At every moment, when we can finally share with you what this is truly like and who you really are, you will rejoice in a way that you haven't since you left home. And that is the magic of what is ahead. Now, let us talk about the dimensionality reunion for just a moment, because that is a magical piece. And yes, we will be bringing you this as an experience here online as well. But know this, you are multiple beings of which you see yourself. If you look at a mirror, and you find a mirror, there's a mirror there. If you look at a mirror of yourself, here, I'll grab the mirror. He hates it when I touch things in his office, but I'll do it anyway. So if you look in a mirror, you have a reverse reflection, do you not? It's opposite of what you would expect, because it's actually reflecting the rays exactly instead of interpreting them and spitting them back out. Most of you think you have parts of your hair on the opposite side than you really do, because you're so used to seeing yourself in a mirror. So what is that reflection? This reflection cannot completely capture your spirit. You have to severely look at this in order to get any energy really off of it, because everything is reversed. Everything is a literal translation. But you are not. You are spirit. And your magic goes much deeper than can be reflected with a three-dimensional piece. And that's exactly what that is. So the new mirrors are being formed. No, they will not be used to comb your hair and to brush your teeth, etc. They will be used to see you in a new way, with all of your dimensions together as one. This is a true dimensional reunion in a very beautiful way. Now, what about the dimensions? Why are they there? What was this about? Well, we have spoken of this before, but we will briefly recap it so that those of you who have not heard it can understand. You are a perfect being, dear ones. You're complete in all ways. When you look at yourself and you look at your experience of life, you may argue that with us. You may say, oh no, I have all kinds of flaws, all kinds of problems, all kinds of imperfections. Yes, and as was said before, and as we've even given a channel on, you are the perfect imperfection of God. Why do you need to be imperfect? Why do you spend all of your life trying to perfect yourself? Because you know deep inside that's truly who you are. You know that you are not the person that you see in the mirror. That is only the literal reflection of your physical being. And if you look very closely, we cannot find a place to put it in here. Yeah. We don't need the mirror anyway, do we? So if you look at your literal translation, it's very difficult for you to see your energy, because that you can actually see with your eyes closed. But we tell you this, that is coming. You are returning to a time when many of these attributes will return to you here. Now, what about this imperfection? Well, in truth, dear ones, you are living, and we tell you this in as close as we can to give you an idea that will fit not only into your world of reality, but also into your brains. So know that this is as close as we can come to describing multidimensionality to you at this moment. As you evolve, your understanding evolves, and we will evolve the descriptions that we give you. But right now, the easiest way to understand it is that you are perfect at home, and that planet Earth is a place of imperfection. Very simple. It's also in the timeline. You have no time at home. Watches do not exist at home. What would you be watching anyway? The truth is, you have freedom of this, and you can move in more ways than you thought. But in order for you to come and have an experience on Earth, you must divide your perfection. And therefore, you came in with 12 rays. 12 separations. Why 12? Well, this again is an illustration at this point of your understanding, but also understand that the rest of the universe is on base 12. Most of planet Earth is on a base 10. That's how you learn to count. That's how you learn to do everything. But most of the rest of the universe works on a base 12 system. It is a natural system, whereas a base 10 actually is not. Oh, we know you think it's easy because you've learned that way. But once you learn something else, you'll see how much further it reaches into your world. Now, so 12 different rays, and you decided to say, I cannot have all my perfection here that I have at home, so when I go to Earth, I'm going to have 12 experiences at once. Not quite, but you have 11 experiences at once. What happens to that 12th piece? The 12th piece holds your energy. The 12th piece fills the gap between home and Earth, and all of your 11 experiences. And that 12th dimension is what you call your higher self. That is your expression. Now, does that mean we're talking about the dimensions that you live in with reality? No, dear ones. We're talking about your personal expression of dividing up your imperfection so that you could have an experience within a timeline on planet Earth. That's the essence of what you have set into motion and are living every day. So, does that mean that there's actually 11 other yous walking around? Is it possible to meet them? Is it possible to have greetings with them? It's not possible physically, dear ones. There is a magnetism that keeps the dimensional levels quite separate. It is necessary to facilitate your entire game. It is necessary to make the possibility of the game board in the way that it plays out the best. But there's also new things that are taking place. And because of moving through this portal that you have recently gone through, because of stepping into the new world, you have the capabilities of coming back together with the other yous. That is magic. Because what happens here, dear ones, you had to divide up your perfection. If you look at your life right now, and you say, this is something I'm good at, and I ask you to list 5 things that you were really, really good at, you could probably do that pretty well. And then if I were to ask you to list 5 things that you were really terrible at, you could probably do that too. Not right, it's not wrong. Does not mean that you have to perfect these and bring them over to the other side. It's part of your beautiful imperfection. That is very difficult to understand, is it not? But let us tell you, when you did that, if you listed something over here that you thought you were missing, we will guarantee you that one of your 11 has that missing piece. And in fact, these things over here that you think you are bad at, over here in another dimension, you get to carry that energy to its fullest. Now, what would it be like if you were able to reunion and to bring that back together and have a multidimensional reunion within your spirit? That is happening. And it is working with the spirituality, which you call it, because that is a direct connection to your higher self. That one key element which connects not only to the other 11, but also keeps you connected to home all the time. Oh, yes. That is your beautiful higher self that actually holds a fragment of every part of the perfection of all 11 dimensions of time and space that you experience as a human. Take a breath, dear ones. And again. And on this final breath, final for this moment, when we blow it out, we're going to release those thoughts of our imperfection and start embracing some of that. Here we go. And release. Can you feel that it not only went from your head, but it hit your heart? That's the magic. That's the connection that you can walk in all the time. Every moment of every day. You have a direct connection to your higher self. You've always had it. Very few of you have known what to do with it. Very few of you have learned to trust it. That's what the keeper had to do. The first time we started to channel through him, that is why it excited so much of his physical body that it brought him to tears that did not stop until 30 minutes after the channel. He was incredibly embarrassed. Here he is, a big man, manly man, at least he thought so at that time. And here he sits down in front of all these wonderful people, and all these people he was trying to impress. And he starts to channel us. And he brings it, it's about all he could get out at that time. He simply was not able to breathe because we overloaded his system with a direct connection to his higher self. Over time, he cleared the energetic pathways. He cleared his own belief systems that were blocking him. And he was able to channel and bring it through. And this is capable to each and every one of you, for you are from home as well. You are from the same family of light. That's the beautiful part. And when you get home, you will celebrate that family in all new ways, in ways that you have forgotten. That will bring you home again. So, what is needed for this? What is next? Part of the reason that your lives have changed so drastically on planet Earth, part of the reason that every time you turn on your television set, you see discord, you see new things happening, you see things falling apart that seem to be on the edge for some time, but managing to go. And all of a sudden, everything starts to collapse. What is taking place? You're having a multidimensional reunion. That's what's happening. The doors are opening. Now, you live on the planet of free choice. You have set those rules into place very clearly. And it has accomplished more than we could ever do in the other millions. You are still looking for one, but there are millions and billions of other life forms out there. It's difficult for us to even put those into words that you could understand because they put limits on it. The moment we say million, billion, it puts a limit on it for us, and there is no limit. There is an infinite number. We know infinity is not a concept that humans can even hold in your brain for more than a half a second because it doesn't fit. Doesn't describe your experiences on Earth, but it absolutely describes your experiences when you come home. All of time is gone. Time is a game board on which to have an experience. And the keeper of time has come in with very specific ideas that all of you can start grasping, especially around circular time, to understand how it works and how you can use it in new ways. But all of you are stepping into it, and that is magical. Dear ones, if you could hear the constant stream of applause and cheers that happen on our side of the veil over the events that are taking place on Earth. Earlier today, you had one of your teachers talking about discord on planet Earth and how she was concerned about what was going on in a certain area. We too are concerned, but we would be more concerned if there was no movement. Do you understand that? Do you understand that all movement, whether you call it forward or backwards, whether you call it good or bad, whether you call it up or down, makes no difference. It is movement of the spirit. And all of it will end up as advancement, even if it seems to take a step in the other direction. So celebrate it, dear ones. Now, what of you? What can you use to bring about your own channel? How can you open it? Well, first of all, you must understand a little bit about channeling process. And we did not make this up. We basically experienced it as we have come in. Now that you have moved through the portal, all of you have open channels. Most of you had open channels before you moved through the portal. Now all of you do, and all of you are open more than ever before. The capabilities are much deeper than you've ever had. That is magical. And that is what is taking place now. So there's a new form of grounding on Earth. Your grounding you have always used in your physical body. How do you ground? You ground by drinking things. You ground by eating things. You ground by hugging each other. You ground through sex. You ground in a lot of ways that you all involve your physical being. Now there's a new spiritual grounding, which is a direct connection to your own higher self. And as we mentioned, you've all had it. Most of you have learned in the lower vibrations before passing through the portal. You've learned to not trust it. You've learned to think it through. You've learned to put your brain in motion. And many times ignore your heart. All of that is changing. Every part of humanity is now learning to think with its heart instead of the brain. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to shut off the brain and live from the heart alone. That will not quite work yet on Earth. Eventually it will. But you're not there yet, not from the collective standpoint. So don't worry about it and don't judge it. Simply stretch into that connection. Now, how have you been channeling before if you're not aware of it? You do not go around giving seminars or doing live channels, so you think you're not channeling. Have you ever had an idea, dear ones? Have you ever had an inspiration? And you say, oh, yes, I play music all the time, and I'm constantly writing new songs, and it just comes to me. That is a channel, dear ones. Very simple. Or you may be the artist who paints the beautiful painting and think that you just made it up. It is a shared energy that you can tap into, and how you feel comfortable expressing that is your channel. Now, even if you're uncomfortable with the word of channeling, tapping into your higher self is the move of the day on planet Earth. And that's where you have this multidimensional reunion. Is it going to lead to your advancement? It already has. But many of you do not know how to ground your daily lives. And that's why there's so much turmoil. That's why there's so much pressure on Earth. Now, we tell you a lot about this because the crystal children have been here and quietly planting seeds and working in different ways. as have the indigos, as have the rainbow children, and all the other names that you've come up with. But especially those that we call the crystal children, those that come in with such an incredible sensitivity. And much of this has been misdiagnosed as to what you call spectrum disorder. Dear ones, these are advanced beings coming in with the new capabilities of carrying your spirit into the new physical bodies, into the light body experience. And yet you still don't understand it. You will find challenges. You will find even medical explanations of some of this because you're looking for it. And that's what happens when God looks for something. They get an answer. So use these. Use it in any way you want. But understand that many of these children that come in with this very difficult challenge have given a great sacrifice to all of the rest of you here on planet Earth. And although you may not have a key element to be able to help in that area, or you may not have a child that you can honor in that way, know that when you speak of this on Earth, it includes many more beings than you know. You currently have figures of how many new beings are coming in with this disease, and we tell you you have less than a 50th of what is out there. There are many beings that are carrying it, and hopefully at a certain time you will be able to come in with these higher attributes and use them. Because the moment you start anchoring these new energies, they do not cause the discord that you call a disease or disorder. So look for the gifts. Find the way to find the gifts. Help these beautiful fluid beings ground on Earth. They need structure. They need more structure than other beings. They need more effort at pretending to be the human because they have more of an open channel, even to their own higher selves. So know that they are having more of a challenge pretending to be a human. But they're also bringing in an incredible gift. And not every crystal child has what you call spectrum disorder. There are many on the planet that do not have it. So it is not every one. But that is the reason you have seen such a dramatic rise in this particular disorder on Earth. Now, let's return for just a moment to this beautiful multidimensional reunion that is happening every single being on planet Earth. It can certainly be confusing. Suddenly you may find yourself tapping in to one of the other attributes that you had. It's happened to the keeper. He grew up in all of his life with pianos in his house, and he never once played them. He bought a piano recently and sat down and tapped right into it. It took very little effort for him to start working with this, to be able to translate his channel through a piano instead of through his mouth. Ilra stepped in right behind him because Ilra is very close to the keeper and basically brought his music in a new way through the keeper. Now, does that mean he's an accomplished musician, that he plays the piano and should do No, it doesn't. He still has to do his work here on Earth. But that's the kind of inspiration that all of you can do. And several of his friends are very frustrated because some of them have taken piano for years and cannot play with the fluidity that he can suddenly bring through. It's because he's mastered his channel. That's only one of the ways that this can come through. There are many ways that all of you can open this up. And what you used to do of building up and learning and getting to this level of vibration to where you could be comfortable in doing something, you can now jump right to because of the multidimensional reunion. That's the magic. That's the beauty that is taking place on planet Earth right now. Here we go. Are you ready? Now, what of the imperfections? You have been trying to perfect yourself since the moment you were born and gained consciousness, and especially since puberty. For that is when the spirit fully enters a human body. It takes that long to get a spirit completely into a physical body. Many years from your terms. That too will start changing. You'll start to see new evolutions and new children being born that are bringing in the beauty. All of them will be imperfect in some way, the same as you, for you are on the planet of free choice, playing a game of pretending to be separate. Play it well, dear ones. Enjoy every moment of it. And when you find those imperfections, instead of doubting yourself or challenging yourself or putting yourself down because you are imperfect, celebrate your perfect imperfections. Celebrate the beauty of who you are. That will bring heaven to earth. Faster than you can imagine, it has already begun. It is happening so fast that most of you feel a little displaced in this new energy. Do not feel like you have to run and catch up to everything. Let it come to you. And we will share with you many of the ways to naturally bring that in, naturally become the person where you can just be and let it come to your door. We will begin this, and many of the courses that we are starting to teach are on the higher attributes of the new energies of the new planet Earth, which you have so beautifully created. Dear ones, take these steps with joy. Dance your way home and enjoy this ride. It is with the greatest of honor that we ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity. Play well together. Aspavo.
Sorry I wasn't there. I was kissing him on the head. I couldn't resist. I know. He's like, okay, the camera's over there. Oh, she's not there. But that'll help ground you. A beautiful message. Well, we have so enjoyed our time together today. In addition